Welcome everyone to the RTV studios on the campus of Martinsville High School for another edition of Inside Martinsville Basketball here on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel and WREP 15 Sports. I'm your host Eric Meyer, joined as always by Artesian head coach Kip Staggs. Coach, again, thanks for joining us this week.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. It's always a pleasure to come and talk about Artesian basketball.
And we've got a lot of Artesian basketball to talk about on this week's show. Martinsville wins 2 of their final 3 regular season contests of the year. The sectional draw came out on Sunday, so we've got a little bit to talk about on that front, as well as the Artesians get the bye finally in the draw this time as it came out on Sunday. But first, Coach, let's turn our attention to your final regular season games of the season, and we'll start first with the game on Friday night here in the John R. Wooden Gym. It's against the Whiteland Warriors. You had not beaten Whiteland since 2016. It's a great contest on Friday night. Back and forth game. Whiteland vaulted out to about a 10-point lead there in the second half. Your kids will battle back, hit some big shots, and come away with a big-time win on Friday.
Well, no question about it. You know, we got down there in the third quarter, and we tried to change up the defenses a little bit, start third quarter, and that backfired on us, and it got us behind. And then, then we were able to, make some shots. We got a little run, got a little momentum, and, it was a fight. I mean, it was a battle, and credit our guys for really hanging in there and playing through some adversity. I thought we played okay in the first half, not great, okay. But then we got going there in the end of the third quarter, into the fourth quarter.
It was a contest. This is a good Whiteland ball club coming in. We knew that record's a little bit deceiving. They've got a lot of talent, a lot of guys that can get to the rim, a lot of athletes on the team, and you guys really did a good job of being able to respond to what they were able to provide towards you. And then there in that second half of play, you got down, and Skylar Pruitt kind of found a little bit of life there. 17 second half points really helped you guys get back into that one and help you carry to your victory.
Well, he really played well, and that's probably the best game he's played all year, and he just played with a lot of focus, a lot of commitment, and was able to get the basket a couple times, and so really good to see him, especially here at the end of the year, step up and really play well.
It's a huge atmosphere, great atmosphere there too as well. Outstanding for you guys to play on their senior night.
Really good atmosphere. We had a great crowd, and this is about 3 or 4 games in a row where we've had nice crowds and people have been into it, and it should be, because we've got a group of young men that play relatively hard and they share the ball, and are kind of reflective of blue-collar group, if you will, and so, they're fun to watch, and it's really good to see some of the people come back to watch us play that maybe due to COVID or whatever we haven't seen for a little bit.
Big senior night victory for your ball club. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. You're going to see a lot of those seniors on there as well here in the win, who we start early on with senior to senior Jack Wolf down low.
Yeah, and it was really good to see Jack put that in and score around the basket, and when he's effective inside, it really helps us quite a bit. Here's a little pick and roll action, and Will getting to the rim there early on, and Will's kind of that guy that can play multiple positions for us, and is very valuable for what we do. There's Jack flashing to the basket, and he's trying to find some things, and is able to get inside the defender and score with that left hand, and good to see that go in for him.
Looked like something that you guys maybe saw in the scout, trying to attack down low, because you really went to Jack some early on.
We felt like we needed to establish ourselves inside a little bit, which would open up the game outside. And here we go, and Caleb with a nice drive to the basket, and good to see Caleb coming to life here a little bit near the end of the year. Here's the inside out from Will to Brody, and Brody's able to knock it down. And as you see, we're trying to we stay tight here. We stay pretty close. There's Grady on a nice cut on an out-of-bounds play, and we're able to find him and adds it. Here we are, a little set play out of bounds, and again, out of a box set, and we're able to find Jack on the box again there. And here's Grady with a transition 3, and you got to find him in transition. He's a guy that doesn't need a lot of space and plays with a lot of confidence when he shoots the ball. And as we near the end of the second quarter, here's a little ball screen action, but Brody rejects the ball screen and knocks it down, and we take the lead as we go in near the end. But as you see, Whiteland is able to make a little run there in about a minute and a half, but then Grady answers with a 3. So this is kind of the way the first half went, back and forth. Both teams kind of traded baskets. One would get up a couple points, then get down. And then as we start this second half, Grady scores early on, and then they leave Skylar alone on that short baseline, and he's really pretty good from 12 to 15 feet with that little pull-up. and that helped us stay in touch there a little bit. As you know, it's a 10-point game there, and Jack's able to score there. You've seen him score with the left hand, see him score with the right hand there with that little hook. Here's a little post feed and finds Brody on the flash. And again, we're staying tight and staying right in with it. And we press him a little bit and get a steal. Skylar's able to make a nice steal, jump stop, pump fake, and get the guy up in the air and puts it in. And then here we steal the ball again, kind of same scenario, a little pressure, forcing the tempo a little bit. And we're able to answer and take that 10-point deficit and turn it into, cut it down to 4 or 5. And then we're able to find Skylar down there in the corner on a nice pass. And Brody here with a 15-foot jumper. So right there at the end of the half, that was a big play, cut it to 1, and really put us in a pretty good place. And then, Caleb with a nice little move here at the top of the key. Guy played him soft, and he pulled up, knocked it down. And here we are in transition, and we're able to find Skylar in transition. And again, that little 12, 14-foot pull-up that he can knock down on a consistent basis. Whiteland calls a timeout. And then we go in our little scissors action, and Brody's able to find Caleb out of the corner. He drives it and gets it in, gets us a 5-point lead with about 5 to go. And, it was just kind of a battle from there on out. Here we get a nice, again, another transition basket. And as you notice, we're able to get some transition baskets and maybe off a steal there in that fourth quarter. And here's a little out-of-bounds play. Everybody went with Grady to the corner, and that opened up the opportunity for Skylar in the side to knock it down. Again, they're trying to press us a little bit. We're able to handle the pressure and get the ball where it needed to be. There's a big play with about 45 seconds to go. Score was tied. Skylar makes a nice backdoor, and then Brody was able to find him. So really made some nice plays down the stretch and played with a lot of consistency there for the last 10 to 12 minutes. But I think our pressure got us going. Skylar got us going as well, and then that lifted everybody else up. And we tried to foul at the end of the game. I don't know if anybody noticed, but it was a 3-point game, and they had the ball to go the length of the floor. And we tried to foul the kid there on the left wing, and the official didn't call it. He's able to get a shot off, but it was a little bit off balance. Unfortunately, didn't go in.
Not going in. You get the victory, though, there on senior night over the Whiteland Warriors, a mid-state conference win. And then you move on to Saturday night, and you play maybe one of the best teams you've played all season long in Greenfield Central. A very good ball club. Kind of a game that was pretty close, maybe the final score a little bit, not indicative of how close that game was really throughout. They're a really good ball club with a really good ball player, a couple really good kids, and they get the victory over there at Greenfield Central.
Yeah, there's a reason they're in the top 15 in the state, and the Moles kid had 28 against us, and he played really committed. I mean, I felt like afterwards that was a game that he was not going to lose, and he pretty much controlled the tempo. But you're not going to beat many people turning it over 18 times, and that was really a Achilles heel for us. And while it was close, I didn't feel like we played very well, and I didn't feel like we were in much rhythm against their zone. We had spurts where we played a little bit, but coming off the Whiteland game, I just expected a little bit more going into Saturday, and maybe credit to Greenfield, maybe we're too excited about the win against Whiteland or whatever, but we didn't respond real well, but it was 10-8, 12-8, 15-12. I mean, it wasn't like the game was a blowout. They did extend it out there in the third quarter when we turned it over a couple times in a row, but then we closed the gap. But it just really wasn't a game we played well in.
And it's a contest, so like we said, it's a team. They've got some good players, some good pieces there. You obviously would have liked to have seen your team, like you said, and from what you're talking about here, maybe build a little bit off of that Whiteland win.
It's one thing to get beat and play well, and it's one thing to get beaten and you don't play well, and that was kind of the case for us coming back on Saturday. I just didn't think we played very well, and I didn't think we were in sync in a lot of different ways. And again, the turnover battle. We didn't shoot the ball that poorly, but when you turn it over that much, that just counteracts what you're shooting. And for the most part, we kept those other guys in check, and there was a few defensive possessions where Moles got away from us. But defensively, we weren't too bad. We just offensively weren't in really good position to score, and we weren't real comfortable. And Skylar had another good night. He played well back-to-back nights, so that was good. If there was a bright spot from that game, it was his performance.
Greenfield Central gets the win. You guys come back on Sunday and are able to watch that sectional draw. We'll get to that in just a minute. But fortunately, I guess, for you guys, you don't have to end your regular season with the performance at Greenfield Central. You get a chance to go against Avon, and this typically, since I've been here, is not the best game to be able to play. It's not a conference game. Things are already decided. The draw's out. So you don't always know what you're going to get. It's an Avon club that's been up and down, but very athletic. But you guys come out, jump on them early, hold on for the win, and give yourselves a little bit of momentum as you get ready for sectional play.
Well, no doubt. I mean, you described it correct. It's one of those games a little bit tough, middle of the week game. You know, the schedule's already out for the sectional and that kind of thing. But very pleased with how we came out to play. I thought we showed a lot of commitment. We showed a common purpose with what we were doing. Got out in front 7-0 pretty quick. They chipped away. It was 12-10 at the end of the first quarter. But I thought we guarded really well. It was probably one of the first games all year that we played zone on a consistent basis. But offensively, you know, our first possession of the game was probably one of the best we'd had all year. And then get in the second quarter, you know, it's kind of trade baskets. We get a couple stops. All of a sudden, Grady hits a three, and then we get another basket, and all of a sudden it's 27-15, and we're rolling there in that second quarter inside about 2.5, 3 minutes. And then they called timeout, and then they made a little run at us there to end the half. I didn't think we managed the end of the half very well. Thought we had 3 threes that were kind of quick. But then they came out and pressed us in the second half, sped us up a little bit. But to our guys' credit, you know, we had 2 guys foul out. We played 12 guys that night, so a lot of guys got a little bit of action, and we're able to pull out the win. And it was a good win. You know, they're really athletic, and their record is not indicative of the team, and they play a tough schedule on top of that.
56-52, the final. Hadn't beaten them since 2015, and so you get the big win there. And like we said, maybe build a little bit of momentum heading towards sectional. And it's going to be a little bit of a wait for sectional. The sectional draw came out on Sunday, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But you guys always get together. That's always a good time. It's almost, if you will, when we grew up, it was almost like a holiday type thing. You know, everybody was glued to the TV on a Sunday, early on Sunday afternoon. Where's the draw? Where are you going? And all those kind of things. It's not quite there, but you guys still hold some of those traditions together and get your team together for a nice evening as you watch and see who you draw in sectional play.
Well, I think it's really important that we recognize the draw and its importance, as you mentioned, and we have the team out to the house, and we've done that for every year I've been the head coach, and we spend some time with food and fellowship, and we have, you know, they play pool a little bit, and we have an annual trophy that we give away, and we have a little bracket, and so that kind of kills the time while we're waiting. Assistant Coach Staggs usually does the cooking, and she does a great job of making that happen for the guys. This year we had a taco bar, and they were excited about that. And you know, so they come out and they play some video games, they laugh, and they do all that, and they watch the draw, and you know, they came out about 5, and there was guys still out there at 9 o'clock, and you know, so it's a fun time for them, and it's a fun time for all of us, and you know, we were pleased with the draw. Anytime you get the bye, it's a good thing, but you know, it's probably better for us at that point in the year to get together like we do, and just have that time of fellowship and kind of bring some guys together.
Who's the pool shark of the group?
Well, I tell you, it's we've had some upsets in the past. I remember Chase had one a few years ago. He won the 8-ball tournament by default. He didn't know he had won it. He didn't know the rules probably as well as he should have, but his opponent had scratched the 8-ball,
Yeah.
and so he was the winner that year. And then, you know, we've had guys that come out when we did the ping pong tournament and bring their own paddles out.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
it becomes pretty competitive. But this year, Ryan Laurent is a back-to-back champion in
okay.
it, and so he took out Jack Wolf. Jack's pretty upset about it. We had to console him a little bit on Monday and walk him through it. You know, he's a 2-year runner-up, but Ryan is pretty happy about adding to his trophy case. So as many of you might know, Ryan Laurent has been around us for about 10 years and does our stats and is incredible with doing that. And so he's a very important part to our coaching staff and to our program.
Able to have some fun out there as you get the sectional draw that came out as well, and we talked about that a little bit. But you get the bye. and you will play the winner of Mooresville and Bloomington North in the second game on Friday. In the other half of the bracket, Bloomington South gets the bye, and it's Center Grove and Greenwood in that opening game. We're going to talk a little bit more about this overall next week, and we actually get the results when we do this. But quickly, as you look at those two teams that you could potentially play there in that second round matchup, if you will, the sectional semifinal. You beat Mooresville 70-64 a couple of weeks ago, lost to Bloomington North 71-60 there in a game that was probably a little bit closer than what the score indicates. So you said you're happy to get the ball briefly, or get the bye briefly, about those two teams that you have the potential to play there one way or the other. I'm not going to ask you the loaded question who you'd rather play, but about the two teams that you have coming on, what concerns you about each one of those, and what do you think that they've done well in your experience that you've played them already this year?
Well, I think to our advantage, I think we're playing as good as we have all year. And, some of it started about a week or so after the Bloomington North week. I thought we started to trend upward, Bloomington South, and then we just continued to get a little bit better each week. And, so I think we're trending in the right direction. So, but regarding Mooresville and Bloomington North, Mooresville, that was a big win for us. So if that works out and we play them, they're going to be, wanting revenge, if you will, and so they'll have their guys fired up. And if you look at the Bloomington North game, Vincel's back; he's healthy now, who didn't play against us back in the middle of January. So they probably feel like they're probably in a little bit better shape. So at this point, nobody needs a reason to play. Everybody knows what's at stake, and everybody's going to come with their best. And Friday night up at Center Grove, that place is going to be loud. It's going to be rocking, and that's on my agenda today, to talk to our guys about, you've got to communicate on the floor, because it may be hard for me to communicate with you from the sideline or our coaching staff. You've got to really talk to each other, because it's going to be loud, it's going to be intense, it's going to be fast. Typically the foul ratio drops.
Yep.
They let you play a little bit more when it gets to that tournament round, and so don't be rattled, don't be flustered a little bit, and so you got to play through some of that. But I just think either one of those opponents will be a great opponent for us on that night, and we're going to be prepared. We'll start putting some things in Saturday, Monday into Tuesday, sprinkle that into our practice with both of those teams being considered, and then come Wednesday we'll zero in a little bit more, and then finalize everything on Wednesday and Thursday and go play. But I think we are playing some good basketball right now. I'm really happy with where we're at. I do think there's probably a few areas we could get better at, but compared to where we were a month ago, we've made some progress.
As you look overall at the field that's in there as well, over at Center Grove, you guys did get the opportunity to go over in Center Grove and play. Used to play there on a more consistent basis several years ago, and then kind of get back into that series as well. I don't think that's the easiest gym in the world to play at sometimes. It's wide open space, but some teams play different there. You do have that experience of playing there. But if you overall look at the field with the teams we've talked about already, Bloomington South, Center Grove, Greenwood as well, speak to the field that's in that section and how tough you think that is coming in this year.
Well, so I think it's very competitive. I mean, if you look at the teams across the board, Bloomington North, Bloomington South, that's always a competitive game. Obviously, we beat Mooresville. Mooresville, Bloomington North early in the year was somewhat of a blowout, but I don't think that's indicative of those two teams. So, Mooresville, Bloomington North, Mooresville's probably going to have a little bit of an edge, because they felt like when they played Bloomington North, it really wasn't the game that they could have played, and so I think they'll have a little bit of energy going into that game. Center Grove just beat Brownsburg, who's a top 2 or 3 team in the state, but Center Grove gets by Mooresville last week, 72-82, in a relatively close game that Mooresville had the lead in the third quarter. So it shows signs of a very, very competitive field, and lurking out there too is Bloomington South, who will have the bye, will have a lot of time to prepare, probably for Center Grove, and so they'll be ready to go. They played 2 nights ago. They play tonight, so they're going to be similar to what we're at. Should be rested and ready to go. So I think just overall, I think that's a very, very competitive field. Obviously, Center Grove is the favorite on paper, especially being at third place. But, You know, it's
why they play 'em.
it's not an easy tournament. It's not something that's going to be automatic for anybody, and you're going to have to play well, and you're going to have to go through some adversity. You're going to have to deal with some ups and downs, and you're going to have to, you know, take a few hits along the way. But I also think it's a tournament that's winnable. I don't think it's impossible for anybody. I think it's a tournament that you know, we've put ourselves in a position, and you know, I think, as I told our guys on Tuesday night when we got back, you know, we've got what it takes here. You know, we've got the guys to get this thing done, and so a lot of it's just a matter of doing it and getting it done, and you know, playing through it, and you know, Indiana is funny in the sense that a lot of times they don't remember your season record, but they remember if you won the sectional.
Absolutely.
And so we felt like there were some games through the course of the year that we should have won. And while we look at other teams and think, hey, they're not indicative of their record, I got to believe people look at us the same way. And you know, we've got a group of kids that you know, will play fairly hard, will guard fairly hard, and we're getting to share the ball a little bit more and better. And so, you know, hit your right stride at the right time, and I think we're trending in the right direction.
Well, we're going to talk a lot more next week about what this is. We'll know at that time who won those opening games, who your opponent will be, but just a little bit of a preview of the sectional, and looking forward to it. Indiana high school basketball, it does not get any better than tournament time when you're around here in Indiana. It's the best in the country, IHSA sectional play. So, Coach, we talked a little bit about it. We'll talk about it next week, so we will see you again next week in here, same time.
We look forward to it, and we'll get some sectional ticket information out at the beginning of next week so everybody's in the loop, and so we can have a great crowd up there at Center Grove.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Artesian head coach Kip Staggs here inside Martinsville basketball. Like we said, Martinsville trending in the right direction. Sectional play comes up. They get the bye. They'll open up on Friday in the second game sectional semifinal against the winner of Mooresville and Bloomington North. But come back here next week, and we'll talk a little bit about a preview of that. As always, I'd like to thank the head coach for coming in for Kip Staggs, along with Luke Cheatham and Bo Dilley, who helped produce it. I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Martinsville basketball.